So hi again everyone, today I'll be planting my red grapevine. I've already planted my white one there and began the row, and I'm going to be making 2 parallel rows here, so eventually I'd like to expand. I just have 2 right now just to start it off. But I got this morning and it's very healthy. It already has a few grapes there on the back, 4 little grapes. So I'm going to go ahead and plant this in a hole I've dug, so I'm going to get started. So what you'll need to do is this one does have roots hanging out the bottom, so you'll really need to work around the container and just squeeze a little bit to loosen the soil. So just tip it upside down and gently pull on the stem, not too hard, and also use your hand as a guide there. So then just invert it upside down, and you'll notice I'm keeping the soil that the plant came in, so that's also a good way to keep the nutrients. So here's another soil mixture I have, and I will just be putting that in there as well. So I don't really want to be planting too much deeper than the actual depth of the plant. So just a nice shallow spot, and eventually the roots will work their way down in the soil as well. So I'm also going to go ahead and place all the clay and topsoil that was originally over the hole on top again. So I'm just going to break up some of the clumps too. And if I see any worms too, I'll be sure to put those in. So also, because grapes are a vine, I'm going to go ahead and stake them. They should be staked for about the first year of planting, and then after that you can also train them to go in a certain direction with wire structures, so I'll have to look into that. But for the moment, I'm going to put a stake right about here, and the tendrils on the plant will stick to it, so that's a good way to get it going. And see, the leaves here are facing this way, so I'm going to put the stake about over here. Not too deep, but just enough to give them a bit of support. So that's it. Just make sure you label your plants and keep an eye on them. Give them a good watering, and you should have some grapes. So this is my plum tree. This is an Italian plum, and I got this a couple weeks ago when some of the garden centers were starting to close down. Believe it or not, this is actually a really good time of year to buy trees, especially fruit trees. And if you plant them now, you probably will not get any fruit this year, but it gives them a good chance to set in the ground through the rest of the spring and into the fall. And then they should bear fruit depending on their age next year. So this one's pretty healthy, and I think we should be getting some fruit within the next 2 years. So this is my Meeker raspberry. I bought this a couple weeks ago when the garden centers were closing, and it was the last one left. It had a lot of brown leaves around the bottom of the stem there, and they were very dried up and not well cared for. So I brought it home and I watered it, planted it, and it really loves its new home. All this section here, which is lighter green, that's new growth within the past 2 weeks. You can see the thorns just starting to come in. I probably will not get any more fruit this year on this, and I haven't gotten any at all, but it'll give it a good chance to set, and next year I should get plenty of raspberries. So hi again, these are my strawberries that I've had for about 2 or 3 weeks. I got these in a moss pack, and I was able to plant 17 out of the 25 that were in there, as it was pretty late in the season and some had already died. So I made this box as well to put around there. Because strawberries really spread through runners, it's really important to contain them if you don't want them to invade your whole yard. So I highly suggest when you use wood to contain your plants, using non-pressure treated wood, just because pressure treated does have a lot of chemicals, and if you're trying to grow organic, they will seep into the soil and they can be absorbed by the plant. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But other than that, there's quite a bit of new growth here. They were a little, they weren't very healthy when I got them, and they were a little dried up, but here is new growth, completely new. And you see on that side especially, there's a lot of new shoots starting to come out. So they're doing pretty well, and I'm hoping that by next year I will have quite a bit of strawberries. So hi again, these are my two high bush blueberries. You will notice that this one is quite a bit taller and may look a bit different from the smaller one here. That is because they are two different varieties of high bush blueberries. This one is a Chippewa blueberry, and this one is a Jersey. The Jersey is relatively easy to grow, but the only thing with blueberries is you can't have the same variety for cross-pollination. They can't self-pollinate, so it's really important that when you buy them, you always have to buy two, kind of like apple tree. So I have had a couple of berries, but I have had problems with birds coming and stealing them before I've had a chance to pick them. So that's another thing that I'll have to do, is also tempt them with netting or wire or something, just to keep the birds out. I also know that bunnies can really get into them, so if you have rabbits in your area, pay attention to that. As far as soil, all blueberries, especially the high bush ones, really like acidic soil. So if you can get soil with a lot of purolite and that type of stuff in there, they should do really well. And it's fine to just put the clay or topsoil back on top and just to blend it in with the area. So that's pretty much it on high bush blueberries.